football coach of the Pirates, Cliff Godwin, joining us here in the Pirate Radio studios. Coach, appreciate your time. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. I've talked to a number of your players, and Dixon, Parker, Ethan, Colby, they're all ready to see a different jersey and play a real game. As a coach, I know you love your practice and scrimmages, but do you feel the same, or you wish you had another couple weeks to practice here?
No, I think we're ready. I mean, I think our guys have put in good work since we've been back for Christmas break, and the weather, for the most part, has cooperated with us to be able to get out there a whole lot. So definitely get a couple more practices in. We were able to get out there today because there's weather this week, and normally would have today off, but we practiced a little bit today. We'll have tomorrow off, and then go Wednesday and Thursday.
There was some talk at Media Day that, you know, all the new players, they're not new anymore. They're part of the team. We like to use narratives in our line of work, Coach. So can we use the?
Yeah.
You notice that?
Yeah.
But how do you feel about that? Like, do you think there might be some growing pains, or you expect from day one these newcomers to fit right in, get the ball rolling, win some games here? How do you feel about it?
Well, we're talented, so if we play smart baseball, I mean, you could see us play really well early. I do feel that way. I mean, we definitely have enough talent to be super successful this year. Definitely some new guys in our system. The older guys and the coaching staff have done a great job acclimating those guys into the system. And freshmen, I tell them they're not freshmen anymore, they're sophomores. So, you know, they've been hardening our program from the fall into the preseason, and especially position players have faced really good arms. So they have seen really good arms in inter squads because of our pitching staff, and then our pitchers have faced very quality hitters. So I think both sides of the ball are ready to go and definitely ready to see a different uniform.
Coach, I saw today Ethan Norby will get the ball on Friday. You said that earlier today, and he was, I guess, going to go out of the bullpen, but due to some adversity, and it seems like not just East Carolina, but a lot of teams start with adversity to start the season. You've got a little bit going your way with an injury, but how about Ethan going to the starter role? You like guys that can do different things, whether it be two-way guys or bullpen starter guys. So I know you feel comfortable with him out there.
Yeah, Ethan, number one, has worked his tail off and gotten a lot better. He's better than he was last year, and he was a freshman All-American, but him and Coach Knight worked on a lot of different things. His velocity's ticked up, his off-speed pitches are better, and he's actually throwing a changeup some now, which was really non-existent last year. In a perfect world, we wanted to have some experience in the back end of the bullpen with really good stuff, and he has that. But Ryan Towers is dealing with a little bit of an arm injury, but we had found out great news last week that his UCL is fully intact, which when you have an MRI of an elbow and your UCL is fully intact as a pitcher is very abnormal. Normally there's some sort of fraying even if you're good to go and keep pitching, and he came back with a full clean bill of health, and so he will not be available opening weekend and definitely the first couple weekends, but he will get back on the throwing protocols starting next weekend, and he'll start picking up a baseball, and he's feeling good already, so we're excited about that. But yes, Norby will go on Friday, and Sean Jenkins will go on Saturday, and TBA on Sunday.
I know you said Sean Jenkins worked his tail off as well, and some of his teammates have said the same. In fact, they voted him hardest worker, I believe you said.
Hardest working pitcher amongst the pitching staff, and then Braxton Trammell, another freshman from the same high school. Braxton is actually a true freshman. Sean should be a senior in high school, but they both were voted the hardest working players on our team, so pretty special there.
I guess you'll be recruiting Hickory more if you keep getting it. I mean, that's pretty darn good right there.
If they got that kind of makeup, for sure.
No doubt. And then TBA, you got any candidates there or guys you're looking at? Or are you going to leave that?
We're going to leave that as TBA. As I told our team, it's been very, very successful for the Pirates over the course of
TBA has a good record.
It has a very good record for the Pirates. I mean, in 2022, we were basically going TBA. So,
y'all would put out that graphic. Not you, but ECU baseball. Well, I put that out. But TBA.
Yeah.
How about as far as the position slots go? Any injuries in the hitters, fielders for you?
No, we're pretty healthy on the position player side. I mean, Riley Johnson's coming back from both his shoulders, but look, he's had some shoulder soreness in his throwing arm. But I would tell you this: I ain't worried about that guy. When game time comes, that guy'll be ready to go.
No doubt about it. Looking forward to this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, George Mason. Coach, how about your lineup? Who are you excited? How about a newcomer or two in the lineup or in the field for you this year? You're excited to see?
Yeah, I would say, Braxton Trammell, he could play third base, could play some outfield, switch hitter, super physical, voted the hardest worker, but just a guy that doesn't act like a freshman. You definitely see him. Austin Irby, another freshman bat. You can see him at first base. You can see him at DH as well. Alex Peltier, I always want to mess up his last name. Super athletic outfielder, can really run. He's got a hose from the outfield. Can really do a lot of things. Steal bases, super dynamic. Can hit doubles. Will run some balls out of the yard. Michael Kalinich, who will be the backup catcher behind Walker Barron, but he swung the bat very well in the preseason and has continued to develop behind the plate with Coach Lartigue working with him a whole lot. Braden Burris, another freshman that has really come on the past couple weeks and just a gritty player, can run, can bunt. You might see him at second, third, in a pinch at shortstop or left field. And Keenan Bowman, redshirted last year, but Keenan has had a really good fall and a really good preseason as well.
Coach, you should be proud of me. I used to come in and I'd be like, how are you going to do it without Evan Krasinski? Or how are you going to survive without Pack and Brickhouse? Yeah, Burley. I don't do that anymore, but I do have a question. How are you going to survive without Justin Wilcoxon back there? Talk about the catcher position. He was such a great leader for your team, but I know you got some talent back there. Yeah,
so J-Dub, but J-Dub wasn't what he was last year or even his redshirt junior year. Early on he worked his tail off, and super proud of him. Obviously brought a ton of experience back last year, but Ryan McChrystal was able to help him out some as well. That's the thing I've been really proud of Michael Kalinich, because Walker, no offense to Walker, is not the biggest human being out there. So, we knew he was going to have to take on a lot of workload with J-Dub's exit. Walker has done a tremendous job this past weekend. I mean, he was a game changer defensively, and he'll be fine swinging the bat. But he's really made a solid force behind the plate as far as blocking baseballs, and he's got a hose behind the plate. And, Michael was a good compliment. Michael's a good offensive player. Not the thrower that Walker is, but he blocks well, he receives well. And then you got John Collins that might see some time back there, but really a DH possibility, who has a ton of power and hit a home run this weekend.
There you go. Got some options at catcher. You mentioned McChrystal. I immediately got disgusted because his Eagles won last night, and I'm sure he's got a S-eating grin on his face somewhere.
Yep.
That was...
Did you see he got engaged, too?
I did not see that.
Yeah, Carter Cunningham texted me last night, but I texted McChrystal, so he got engaged too. So
nice, big weekend.
Yeah, big week.
Good stuff. Cliff Godwin joining us, Coach. I talked to Ethan Norby last week. He's a big Minnesota sports fan. I asked him, how much he enjoys watching sports. He likes his Vikings. He said he likes his Twins, but it's tough to watch a major league game because he said it's all home runs or strikeouts, and he really enjoys the college game more. And I'm just curious, when you watch the NFL, it's all at a shotgun pretty much. It looks a lot like college. Do you feel like college baseball and Major League Baseball are almost separate with the way the game's played, or do you see, similarities between the two?
I see similarities between the two, but especially the way we play the game here at East Carolina is probably a lot different.
Yeah.
Because we will use small ball if the game presents itself. We will steal bases, which the Major League game, obviously, with the new bases, more stolen bases this year than probably ever in the history of MLB. I don't know that stat for a fact, but
that new throw over to first rule affected it a little bit too.
Yeah, for sure. Because you got really two attempts. A third attempt.
You got to get him.
Got to get him. Yeah. But I would say I really don't enjoy watching Major League Baseball in the regular season unless Burley's playing, Gavin's playing, Norby's playing, or Mackenzie Gore is pitching. So that's normally my go-to games in the regular season. Now, when the playoffs happen, I feel like now the big leagues, that is more of college baseball, because when you're playing a 162-game schedule, I mean, like the Yankees, they're just going to sit back and try to hit home runs, and pitchers are going to try to strike guys out. But then you see in the postseason how they got exposed defensively because the Dodgers put a ton of pressure on them. So I think it's more like the college game when the playoffs happen.
It really was magnified. I know you probably watched it like cussing at the TV. You're so angry. Like, what are the Yankees doing with the defense? I remember John Smoltz going on and on about Juan Soto's lack of a leadoff first and how, like, half a foot or whatever is the difference. And I was kind of fascinated by that. I don't think about those intricacies when I'm watching baseball, but just the little things. The Dodgers, which they got the best players too, but they did those little things. Yankees didn't, and Dodgers beat them pretty easily.
Well, it's funny. Sam Nairn, who is in the ECU Hall of Fame and is the, I think he's the minor league pitching coordinator for the Nationals now. Those titles changed so much, but he actually stopped by the scrimmage on Friday. He sent me a clip that Rojas, the shortstop, was on some kind of podcast after they had won the World Series, and the guy asked him, like, what was y'all's plan going into the series with the Yankees? And literally they were just trying to put as much pressure on the Yankees as possible because they knew they would mess it up. He goes, that was the thing. We wanted to get the biggest leads at first versus the pitchers we could. We wanted to steal bases, run the bases well. And, I go back to the play where Soto or Judge throws the ball back into second base, and Ohtani is able to get to third with one out because Torres or whoever it was lets the ball ricochet off of him when it's coming in. Well, now they get a sac fly. Well, Freddie Freeman would have never hit the grand slam in game one if Ohtani doesn't get to third base with one out, and how the free 90s, really magnified. And then if you win game one as the Yankees, does the series play out? You know how baseball is with momentum. Does the series play out? So
one little play like that can balloon and magnify into something greater.
Garrett Cole not covering first base.
Yeah, speaking of first base, do you like the new base, the orange base on the outside?
I don't. I don't think that we thought this out well as college coaches, because they're going to end up going to the bigger base like professional baseball. And the reason I say that is, when you look at it, you're like, oh, well, it's going to be safer because the first baseman's going to use the white bag and the runner's going to use the arm on face value.
Right.
Well, if there's a throw up the line, the first baseman can't use the backside of the orange bag. He cannot use that. So you think about the play in the 2016 regional championship game against William & Mary when Eric Tyler tags third, throws it as bases loaded, one out. Jacob Wolf's struggling, and he throws it to Bryce Harmon. He stretches in foul territory to the backside of the bag and catches that. I don't know but it's like Sports Center #1 play. You can't do that now. So you basically just either have to stand there and get ran over,
right,
or you just look at the ball sail and go chase after it. So I just don't think it was a well thought out rule, and that's my opinion. But hey, guess what? I'm just one coach.
And we're doing hypotheticals here, but that was a real play, so we can talk. But so in that case, if the first baseman does kind of go into foul territory, the runner then goes inside. The runner can't touch the white bag, right? No, he's got to touch the orange bag.
So Bryce was able to go to the foul territory side of the first base bag. Well, now there's an orange base there.
Right.
So you can't use that. So really, you're standing in the middle of where the runner needs to run. So that guy is going to run directly into you and blow you up.
I'm sure. And I'm saying the runner can't then go to the white bag because he's got to touch the orange bag.
Yeah, the only time the first baseman can use the orange bag is on a strike three that is a block that goes to foul territory.
All right. So is now a good time to bring up Cliff Godwin ejections for this year? Because I could see one happening from there.
I tell you this, and I said this on media day. You heard me say this. I feel bad for umpires,
right?
Because they've got this 20-second clock.
Yeah,
they've got the batter has to be in the box with their eyes up within 8 seconds. And they can't, quick pitch. And then the hitter, if you don't have your eyes up, then that's a timeout and that's a ball. So then you've got the double bases. Now you've got the foreign substance stuff. That
they got to check the pitchers.
They got to check the pitchers, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing, but you're asking the umpires to continually do more and more and more, and then you wonder why they might miss a call. Well, they've got too much on their plate.
Yeah, that's a good point. Cliff Godwin joining us. We'll have Coach hang out one more segment. We got a lot of questions to get to on YouTube. Get your questions in. We'll run those down when we return. Pirate Radio Live on a Monday with the skipper for the Pirates, Cliff Godwin. We'll be back with you after these words. Cliff Godwin joining us inside the Pirate Radio studios. Got a lot of questions on YouTube. We'll hit those real quick for Coach, and kind of talked about the MLB game earlier in our conversation. Jamie asking, is there any desire, even small, for you to coach in the big leagues, Cliff?
Zero.
0. All right. You're college the rest of your way.
That's it.
All right. Johnny Stats, I don't know where he gets this stuff from. This is not a question. This is for coaches' consideration, he says. In the past 3 seasons, Jake Hunter has only surrendered 2 hits, no runs, no walks, struck out 13 during the 5th inning with a whip of .027 and opponent batting average .083. He is unreal in the 5th inning, Coach. So remember that for this year.
I'll remember that. And, you can't put him in the 5th inning when Trey Savage is dealing.
Good point.
Hey,
Trey, I got to get you, bud. Jake's good in the 5th. I'm sorry. How is Jake, and when will we see him on the mound?
You'll see him this weekend. It's just been a tremendous blessing. I've never seen somebody come back as fast from Tommy John surgery. Now, he had the brace, which the recovery is a little bit shorter than a full Tommy John surgery, but I mean, he's been facing our hitters. This past weekend, he looked a little bit tired, but the protocol that he was going through basically in the preseason was, and this was coming from his surgeon, was basically he was facing hitters on Tuesday and then flipping around facing hitters on Friday. And I think it finally caught up to him this past weekend, but he went last Tuesday and then Sunday this weekend. But he will be available to go this weekend and has looked great and has felt great for the most part, which has been a boost for the Pirates for sure.
Talked during the break about guys growing up, coming out of their shells. I feel like it was a little bit of a different Jake Hunter at media day, especially when I asked, how did you kind of improve yourself when you couldn't do anything physically? And thinking he would say something mental or new grip or something, but he said he worked on relationships with the team, with others, and I found that to be a pretty interesting answer, Coach.
Yeah, Jake has definitely taken on a big workload from a leadership standpoint, and sometimes when I say get forced into it, when you become the older guy, he's a 4th-year senior. You got Riley Johnson's a 5th-year senior, but a lot of guys have stepped up, and definitely probably early on it was out of his comfort zone, but the thing I know about Jake is he loves East Carolina. He wants us to win, so if he needs to say something to somebody to get them going in the right direction, he definitely would do that.
All right, Mike P. Says, what are red flags you look at when visiting a kid on a recruiting visit, in-home or on campus?
Well, it's funny that somebody would say that. I would tell you this. I mean, anybody can act a certain way when they're around their parents and they're around the coaches. And as much as we do our homework, it's a very inexact science for sure. Now, once they've been in our program for 4 to 6 months, I can tell you exactly who they are, because you just cannot hide from what your true colors are. And Coach Palumbo, Coach Knight, Coach Lartigue, all of us do a lot of research on who we're bringing in, but our culture will spit you out as quick as anything else if you're not willing to work hard and be a team player.
He asked also, are there any parent-related red flags? I'm sure you could find some if you're looking for them.
Yeah, I'll hold my comments on that one.
Fair enough. Jamie says, would you like the AAC to follow the ACC in making the conference tournament single elimination?
Well, really, when you talk about the ACC, they have a pod system, so it becomes single elimination. But I think they play 2 games maybe in the winner of their pool. I'm not sure. It might be 3 games. I got no idea. But I really don't like the pod. I like for a team to have to come through. And the one thing that we're changing this year in our conference tournament, which I pounded on the desk, this changed in 2018. So in 2018, the way the schedule was set up, you had 4 teams play on Tuesday, 4 teams play on Wednesday. Now, the 1 seed did play on Tuesday, but there was weather coming in, so all 8 teams played on Tuesday that year. And then we didn't get a day off, and then everybody played on Wednesday because they were worried about weather. Well, this year, we're backing everything up to Wednesday. So the first game for everybody won't happen until Wednesday. And I think moving forward, since we have 10 baseball teams in our conference, there'll be some sort of like play-in game for like the last 4 to get to a certain day. But this year, with all the hurricanes that came through Florida, actually the Phillies complex had some water damage and stuff. The Phillies just didn't want to have any other extra teams there for the conference tournament.
All right. Mike P., what are your thoughts on the current state of youth sports, specifically travel ball?
In my opinion, if I was a parent, I would make sure my kid played for the best coach that taught them how to play their prospective sport, but also taught them how to act on things they could control. You know, do they show up on time? Do they work hard? Are they really working on whatever skill? I think that's a lost art. I think travel ball in general, there's a lot of playing and there's not a lot of practicing.
Right.
And then when they get to our level, we're having to teach them a lot of fundamentals. And back when I was coming out of high school, there wasn't a ton of travel baseball, but you had coaches that demanded the game of baseball. And I would say that for all sports, whether it's travel basketball or I guess they have some kind of select 7-on-7 football or something like that. But that's my opinion. If I was a parent, I would make sure my son was with a coach that is teaching them not only the sport but life skills as well.
What did you play? Legion ball?
Played Legion ball, yeah.
There weren't many, I don't think, those options out there then.
Well, think about a bad system. I just always use this. Okay, Legion ball, you had to make the team. You couldn't just pay money to be on the team. You had to make the team, and if you didn't make Legion ball, then you played Babe Ruth. Well, you talk about a bad system. So in travel baseball, you can find a team that your son can play. If you pay the money, you can find a team that they can play on. And it could be a terrible team. But if you're a parent and you're paying $5,000 for a year for your son to be on the team, then you expect a return on your investment. Well, if your son's not good, you're not getting a return on your investment. And it's just a bad system. If you spend $5,000 on something, you expect something in return, right, Clip?
Yes, sir.
Unless you're gambling.
Unless you take the Chiefs. Robert says low down on the George Mason team. You looked at those guys?
Not 1 second.
I knew it.
Yeah. I mean, hey, Clip, you've been here long enough.
Yep.
Hey, as I told Bryant Ward today on the phone, and I go back to John Wooden, and I say it all the time, but don't overly concern yourself with your opponent. Overly concern yourself with your team. And if you do what you do well, the winning and losing will take care of itself.
Towards the end of the week, basically, and you give your guys a little scouting report, and that's about it.
Yeah, our coaches, will start diving in, but I really don't start diving in until maybe a little bit Thursday night, but really I just get up really early Friday morning and dive into the opponent and know what the pitcher's going to do and all that good stuff. And that's when I lock in on the opposing team.
Kenny says, Coach, what emotions run through you when you walk into a packed house with Pirate Nation in full force? Man.
I mean, it's chill bumps. Yeah. I mean, it's the most special place on earth for me to be able to coach at Clark LeClaire Stadium. The jungle when it's packed. Our fans are the best. They surround you. They're into it. They're chanting purple gold. They suffocate the opposing team when it's packed. I mean, it's one of the coolest places that you could ever play, in my opinion, in front of that crowd.
Jamie asking about Colby Wallace. What should we expect to see from him, in the field and on the mound this year?
You can see Seawalt playing first, third. You can see him closing out a game. You can see him hitting the middle of our lineup. He's really worked hard on upping his game in the weight room and his nutrition, and it's definitely paid off. And, AK said this in the coaches' practice meeting. I think it was last week. And AK's not around the position players a ton, but he goes, I just, out of my peripheral vision, see the way he goes about his business, and it's special. Like, he is one of our best players, one of the best players in the country, and he's practicing like he's trying to make the team.
That's awesome. And I know last year you used him out of necessity. Not that you were shocked.
AK didn't want to use him, just FYI. Make sure you give AK a hard time. I had to force him to use him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's your headline.
Yeah.
But you obviously weren't shocked because you wouldn't have put him out there, but were you surprised at, how effective he was just coming in late in the year like that?
I wasn't, because Seawall is super competitive, and sometimes, like in an inter-squad scrimmage, even like in the fall, I gave him a hard time. I was like, dude, you're a position player, and all you're doing, you're throwing balls all the time. Like, now, why are you throwing balls? Well, it's just like his adrenaline just doesn't get to the level of, and I'm not making excuses for him, but this past weekend he threw 2 innings, and I don't even know if he threw 20 pitches, and just went through the opposing team because it's getting closer to season.
That's awesome. All right, let's see. Johnny says, what would you think? Oh, we talked about this with Aaron Fitt last week. What would you think of a 32-team best-of-3 format for the NCAA tournament? So,
all for it.
You like that?
Yeah, I mean, it gives more teams a possibility to host, and I think that's good for college baseball.
And you're doing the 3-game series like you do normally, so you don't wear out your arms and things like that. All right. Aaron's all for it. He said he's just screaming. And, sure. I think we'd host. Not that we're not going to host every year, but I'd be for that. That's fine.
We'd have hosted in 23 if it was a 32.
I will say, for the fans, I do like the teams being in here and seeing the different games, but you could probably still get that kind of atmosphere and fun party if it's just 2 teams.
Well, if we're hosting a regional, I think
it's going to be a party. Good point. Yeah, I don't think much will change in that regard. All right, if you got a question, we got a couple more minutes to go with Cliff Godwin. Cliff, are you a big rah-rah guy, like right before the team takes the field or anything? Do you do the motivational speech, or are you more kind of laid back?
I'm more laid back unless I feel like our guys have lost their edge.
Need it,
you know, and Danny can tell you this, but Danny was, and I don't even remember what I said, but like when we were getting ready to face Chase Burns in the hitters meeting, you know, I got really animated, and Danny said, I thought Coach was going to go get in the box and hit off Chase Burns. So, but there's times when you know, you've got to get to that next level, and but it's not a every game thing.
I asked Dixon how many times he's watched his home run, and because I told him us fanboys, I love watching old highlights. Does he watch his own highlights? And he said it's usually just for homework purposes, basically. But like, do you go back and watch stuff like that?
I have watched that a few times. It's on one of the highlight videos we show recruits. So there's plays like Burley throwing the guy out from Quinnipiac in right field.
Yeah.
I've seen a million times. You know, Bryant Packard's home run against Quinnipiac was one of my favorite swings the second time we had to play him. I've watched that 1,000 times. I've watched Jake Agnos throw a breaking ball to strike out an NC State hitter in that 19 regional a million times. So there's things like that, and for sure that watched the Travis Watkins home run in 16.
Man,
I haven't watched that in a while. I might look that up tonight, Clip.
There you go. That'd be some good viewing for this Monday night. Joel says congrats on the engagement. That's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and I'm very blessed that Bree's got the biggest heart of anybody I know, because she's an angel, and I'm super thankful that she still wants me to be a part of her life for the rest of her life. So we're super excited.
It's fantastic. Coach, looking forward to the season, man. Good luck this year, and can't wait to see you out at Clark LeClaire Stadium. Going to be fun.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right, there is Cliff Godwin joining us today on Pirate Radio Live.